Hey, everybody, it's Reggie with Lawyer Interviews. And today we are talking with Taly, who is a lawyer who is out of Los Angeles, who practices at Goody Law Group. Hi, Taly, how are you?
Hi, Reggie. I'm doing well. Thanks. How are you? Thanks for
Very
having
well.
me.
Yeah, we're excited to talk to you today. First off, you're like one of my favorite TikTokers. And for everyone watching, you need to absolutely check out Taly's TikTok account because it's both fun but very informative for people, especially people wanting to go to law school, which is you mentor these people. So I'd love for this, version of lawyer interviews to talk a little bit about your mentorship, how you got into that.
Sure. Yeah. Also, I love your TikTok account as well. It's very funny. If anyone's go check out Reggie's TikTok also.
It's more sarcastic about law, but I mean, less informative and helpful for people for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I started mentoring. Basically, it started from TikTok. So I got on TikTok before the pandemic started. So I was on probably like January 2020. I opened my firm back in September of 2019. So I kind of went on there first as my firm entity, Goody Law Group, because I wanted to start marketing and bring in new clients for my firm. And so it kind of started mainly as a marketing tool. And then I started posting a few things on like how you can become a lawyer, what you need to do. And I started seeing that there were so many people interested in this topic. I mean, there were so many younger, teens in college. They were like, they don't have any guidance and they don't know where to look. So I was like, wow, this is awesome. And so I started posting more about, what it takes to become a lawyer, my experience, things that I thought people would be interested in learning about. And it kind of just started taking off from there. I mean, really, it kind of started it growing organically, just like that. I've always kind of wanted to have like a mentor role, and this was a great way to get into it.
That's awesome. And for you, I mean, people reaching out, are they high school, college, all ranges, or are they like literally about to apply to law
So
school?
they are, I've seen as young as middle school, actually,
Really?
middle school, high school, or just getting into high school, and also definitely a lot of college, and even people that are in law school now or that are
Right.
just graduating law school. Yeah.
That's really neat. And do you get a lot of contact as well with people asking for not just getting into law school, but I think I know I've seen content where you give bar advice too, like studying and searching for job tips. Do you get a lot of that as well? Is that transitioned into that kind of advice?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've a lot of, I actually have allowed people to schedule meetings with me. I have like a link in my bio. So if you go in there, a lot of people will schedule meetings with me. And there are a lot of local people that I meet. And they're like, I'm looking for a job, like, do you know anybody? And I have a big network here in Los Angeles. So I throw, I'm like, hey, anyone looking for like an assistant? Anyone looking for a clerk? And
Yeah.
I've matched up people and it's been awesome. I mean, I've been happy to do it.
Yeah, that's absolutely. Do you have any fun like success stories or anyone that like follows back up to say, hey, the advice you gave me was sage
Oh
advice?
my gosh, yes. Yeah, I just started getting that because I guess I started doing this in 2020, but I started doing a lot on Instagram just recently too. So it kind of started with TikTok, and then I kind of matched my accounts both to do kind of the same thing, overlap. And yeah, I've gotten messages and I'm like, this is so sweet. I'm like, thank you. I'm just like the nicest, just one message is great. Like, hey, thanks. Your advice really helped. I'm about to start law school, or I'm already in law school. Thank you so much. Or I'm going to graduate law school. It's been really nice. Those are
That
the
is
most important messages. Yeah.
absolutely. And I don't know what it was like for you, but when I went through law school, I didn't know any, I had no lawyers in my family. I didn't know any lawyers. And so I kind of stumbled my way through, but my little sister was, much younger than me. So I was able to help her. And, she's like, oh, that was really helpful. I wish I would have had a TikTok account to go watch, even just for the application process. And I think what you provide to the public is it was almost kind of closed lip so many years ago. And so I love that there's a forum now for people to share this because
Right.
the access was just not there. I don't know what was it like for you when you applied?
Oh, I mean, very like exactly like yours, and also just very negative. I mean, every time I asked people, they were like, don't do it. And I'm sure you've heard the same thing. We've all heard the same thing, you know? And so I never really got a real understanding, because I'm like, well, I don't understand why I shouldn't. Like, why, like, what's the reason? Like, can you give me some tips on it? Is it just because you don't want more lawyers out in there? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
So it really, I mean, yeah, we also had Google. I think that's about it.
Right. Right. Well, and you know, there's that old, I think that is like kind of the lawyer thing. Like when they hear someone wants to go to law school, like, don't do it, because it's like a stressful job and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But then you've got those kids that just persevere and still go and do it. And you're like,
Yeah.
you welcome them to the fold.
Right? Definitely. Yeah.
Well, I have another question for you, and this is kind of a surprise question, but I would love your input here. So, your state has a very, very interesting rule where people who are not or didn't go to traditional law school can actually end up as attorneys if they take like a mentorship and a baby bar. And there's a very famous individual who finally passed the baby bar on her fourth attempt. That's Kim Kardashian.
Yay!
I was just wondering, how have you gotten a lot of like questions on like how Kim Kardashian could do this from anybody where you're in California?
Right. Well, so I have some, you know, people have actually reached out wanting to know more about the process. And so I don't know too much about it, but I do know the overarching kind of what you need. So it's basically, it's the non-traditional route where I think it's, you don't have to go to law school, but you still have to go to college, if I'm correct, but if I'm not mistaken.
You're fine.
And, you know, and you have to work for 4 years.
Okay.
And you're doing credits at the same time, where you have to submit things online to the state bar. I'm not really sure exactly what it is, but it is 4 years. And after the first year, you have to do the baby bar. Right. And then past the baby bar, you still finish your other 3 years and then take the real bar. So, I mean, I think people think it's somewhat of a shortcut, I guess, to go to law school, because you don't have to be in so much debt and right. And like just going through law school. But I think you're also somewhat behind because you're not getting the schooling of what you need in law school, you know, or to take the bar. Right.
And the bar's hard enough going to 3 years of full-time law school. So I know that California's rates, and I'm sure that it varies because you've got people that do try to take it and think they can clep it, but it's hard enough as it is going to 3 years full time. I can't imagine, you know, not having that fundamental education behind it. But I'm excited for her, and I love that she kept trying. I think that's great.
Yeah, I think it's great too. I'm happy for her. Yeah, definitely.
So now tell us a little bit about the Goody law firm group, and you know, when you started your firm and how that went.
Yeah, so I started in September of 2019. So kind of a backstory on what I did before I started my firm. Straight out of law school, I got into an art law firm doing art law, art litigation, art transactions. It's very interesting, right?
Like painting art, statues, like that kind of
art. So we would be more so like, you know, in the transactional side, we'd be kind of like the broker between the buyer and the seller. And then on the litigation side, it's, you know, there are fraud issues or authentication issues. And so those would be the kind of cases we get, which I was like, this is great. I love art law, because I kind of wanted to get into entertainment law. So I thought this would be kind of a good, you know, segue there. But then I started realizing, like, I can't really see myself doing this all the time. I want to see myself kind of find a more fulfilling job. And so after about 4 to 5 years, I left that job, and I was like, okay, you can either start over from scratch, like at another firm, you know, or I can start my own firm and just build my own empire, as they say, you know what I mean? Just absolutely, like no time better than the present, right? So I decided to take the second route, started my own firm, and now I practice. It's been 2.5 years almost 2.5. But yeah, it's been amazing. So we focus primarily on personal injury, and I also represent plaintiffs in employment law matters. Very cool. So wrongful termination or labor code violations. Yeah.
Very cool. Now, how was that transition, I guess, from going from a very specific field to a very, very different, specific from art to personal injury? How was that?
Definitely challenging. I knew nothing I mean, not like I didn't know anything. I actually fortunately have a really great community where my husband actually has been in personal injury like since law school. And I met my husband in law school, by the way.
Oh,
That's
very cool. Oh, you know, law school love story. I love that. I love it. Very cool.
Yeah. So we, so I basically, wait, what was I saying? So backtrack. Yeah, so I already had him, and I had a great community, with just people that I've met already within the personal injury legal field. And so I kind of had a lot of mentors help me, and it was great because they were helping me they guided me. I had needed a good 3 months where I was asking questions a lot. And then once that passed, it was smooth. I started catching on, things were quick. And I still have the great community I can reach out to whenever I have questions. So it's awesome. It was an easier transition than I thought, basically. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
It was completely different areas of law.
That's cool. And I think it's a really interesting, view too, because there are attorneys out there that, they think they're just going to be stuck in an area of law when they get a job. And especially, I don't know if the market was like this when you graduated, but it was so saturated when I graduated that people were going into areas they didn't even want to practice just to get the job. And so they were like, I don't want to get pigeonholed into, crim. And then they end up, going somewhere else. But there's always that fear, that first job is going to dictate your career. What are your thoughts on that, since you obviously made the transition?
I think exactly the same as you, because I think once you first get into a job, you're like, okay, I have to stay in this practice area. This is it. I better like it, because you think that once you get into one, you have to stick it out, or but I always tell people you can change, don't feel stuck. I think that's the biggest thing. A lot of, especially with future lawyers that are asking me questions, they're like, I don't know what law I want to practice. And I'm like, look, I really didn't know either when I was in law school. And I didn't really figure it out until just recently. So I don't think there's a rush. And I think a lot of lawyers, even coming out of law school, are, they're still thinking, well, what area of law do I want to practice? So I think as many times as it takes to find the area that you are, happy being, is more important than being like, I just need to stick in this job and stick it out,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that the pandemic has kind of opened up a lot more opportunities for lawyers to kind of, branch out a little bit more than when everything was so in person and in firm, the 9 to 5 show up in the building and all that. I've seen some really cool opportunities pop up for lawyers, and I'm really excited for people to branch out too. I think it's awesome.
I know. I think it's great. Yeah. The one positive thing about the pandemic is that it's shifted the legal industry. We can do things, everyone's now like, okay, we can be remote. We really don't have to be in an office from 9 to 5,
Yeah.
So.
Yes, I know. I have an in-person hearing technically tomorrow, and I'm like, why are we doing in person again? I really loved wearing sweatpants. Like the judge didn't know. I'm good. The top, like a mullet top part, business top.
Right. I feel like the only things that really need to be in person are trials, right? Everything else can be depots, hearings, all of that can be through Zoom.
It can actually, oddly enough, though, I did have 2 arbitration full trials from this room, my office, and it actually went pretty well. You just never know. But I mean, juries, different story, totally different story. Obviously,
yes, totally, yeah.
Cool. Well, so I'd love also to talk to you about being, you own a law firm, you run this, but you're also a woman running a business. How has that been with, first off, you've got the law community, but being a business woman owner or woman owner, geez Louise, a woman business, you're not a business woman owner. That's very weird. A woman business owner. You don't own women. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. It's live.
That's hilarious. I love it. Yeah. Honestly, it's been awesome. I feel like women, and I get so much support from others. I mean, other females, other men in the legal community too. Everyone is so supportive. And I think, as much as it's the legal industry is so male dominated, I feel like we're all kind of transitioning and starting to see that we women have a lot of power in the legal industry. And it's just a huge shift is happening. Right. So it feels amazing. And I feel super grateful and fortunate that I have the support that I have as being a female owned law firm. And I keep seeing, more and more women that are interested in it. Oh, I want to have my own law firm. I'm like, go for it, do it.
Yeah.
And I am going to be your biggest supporter, like 100%.
Absolutely. And it is a shift. And I love seeing the shift too, because, there are those statistics out there, everyone can read them about, women don't make partner as much. I mean, we don't make lasting partner, equity partner. It just is a very hard, road for women, or at least historically has been. It's getting better, but I love watching like women thrive and have their own firm and their own setup. And that's like, I dictate the rules and I love it. I love it. Yeah. So I'm like, go girl.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I would love to ask too. So now your husband also practices at the firm as well, correct?
So he's actually a partner at the Simon Law Group's a different firm.
Okay, different firm.
And he also helps with me as well. So, but yeah, he does, he helps me a lot with the litigation cases. I have most of my cases right now are pre-lit, but there are some in litigation. So he's a trial lawyer. So he's the expert. So he'll help me out with things, and he's a good mentor. He always has been. So it's really nice to learn from him in certain situations. And we actually have a trial in February together.
Oh,
my firm and Simon Law Group. So it's both of us going in together. So I'm excited
cool.
about that.
That's exciting. So what's it like? I've always wondered this. 2 lawyers in a romantic relationship. How is that? How is that?
It's actually like surprisingly works really well for us. I mean, I'm trying to think, are there times where I'm like, I need my space, but I feel like we actually both work from home. So I have my own office, like I have my own room. That's my office. He has his own room right next to me. That's his office. And I'm always popping out like, hello, like I have a question, or he'll come in saying, hey, you want to get lunch? So it's fun. Like, I feel like and then when he's like, oh, I'm going into the real office today, I'm like, no, stay. I'm so used to you being here. It's like so crazy. So it's, I'm fortunate that we get along in that aspect, and we don't really have any conflicts, and
that's good.
I feel like we support one another,
I just always envision, I don't know, for some reason, like them yelling objection relevant, during a fight, or I don't know. That's probably just my weird imagination. I'm like, you shout out law terms at each other when you disagree. Like.
I'm pretty sure like we have our moments, but majority of the time it's really good.
That's awesome. That's very cool. Yeah. So I'd also love to ask a little bit about how, aside from the mentorship, how has social media changed business for you? And like, have you gotten clients from it? Have you gotten business from it?
I have, surprisingly, yes. I've gotten a few of my like bigger cases from TikTok. So it's been amazing. I mean, I don't post, I think I post more for my mentorship than I do my personal injury tips, but I do share PI tips here and there. And from those videos, I've gotten cases, and it's amazing. And even like just people that are seeing me on TikTok will like say, hey, I have somebody, a friend that needs your help. So I'm like, awesome. So it's been such a good, like I always tell people, I'm like, if you're going to open your own firm, you need to advertise and market yourself on social media. It is the way to do things. You don't have to pay money. You don't have, you want to keep your overhead low. You don't need to get a big billboard. You don't need to get, newspaper space or whatever people do, in old school days of advertising, but it's awesome. I mean, social media is free. Take advantage of it. Get yourself out there, put your brand out there. It doesn't need to just be straight like advertisement of yourself, but I think people connecting with you and connecting with your story is more beneficial and brings in more authentic relationships and clients for the future.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you think of the old school. I mean, even like I was in Vegas a couple weekends ago and saw like the old billboards with the attorneys. It's like, you don't get a human interaction there. You don't get to see your personality off of a billboard, but like, and they're paying thousands probably a month for those. And like in TikTok, you can see in a few TikToks, maybe like, oh, this person, I could vibe with that attorney. And, for people watching too, like, I think that, when you find an attorney, it's kind of like dating. Like you got to find the right attorney for you, because not every attorney is right for every.
Yeah. I mean, and like now I'm thinking about it, like a TikTok can be even more views than a billboard. I mean, if you go viral, you're getting way more hits than a billboard is getting, And
it's free. It's free. Like you said, it's free.
Yeah.
Very good marketing tool.
Yeah. So it's been great. Social media, I mean, not only has it helped my marketing, it's just, I've met so many amazing lawyers on there too. Like I met you, I've just met so many on TikTok and so many on Instagram. It's opened a whole new world. And I'm so excited to meet everyone in real life eventually,
I know, me too. So I would love for you also, Taly, to talk to us about, I'd love you to give some tips. So let's start with people who maybe are in high school who think that maybe they want to go to law school someday. Any tips for these young teens?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best thing you could do is try to get as much experience, whether that's actual jobs, going to firms and asking if they need, free help and internship. The more exposure you get, the more you'll realize, hey, is this what I really want to do? Can I see myself doing this job? Because I think a lot of people are always like, how do I know if I should be a lawyer? I'm like, I kind of want to be one, but I'm not really sure. So I think, especially I think you asked high school or even college, any of those time periods, it's so important to just try your best to, get jobs, meet people. And these jobs will help you network, which in turn will hopefully bring you a job if you need one in the future. So I mean, at least help, bring the connection, help you find something that's out there. So
absolutely. And what about for kids maybe in college who, especially like a lot of people think, oh, I'm not smart enough to go to law school. What's your advice for people in college dealing with, their finals and grades and everything? Any advice for those people?
I mean, I feel the same way. I mean, I think every one of us has felt that, where they feel like I'm not smart enough. Everyone around me is smarter than me. So my advice is to really just focus on what you're doing, because I think that there's so much outside noise, and everyone that your classmates are going to say, oh, I got this on the LSAT, I have this GPA, I'm going to get into, and I think all that outside noise can really take away your inner voice, what you really want to do. So I think just block them all out, focus on you. You're not going to, accept that you might not get a perfect score on your LSAT, which you probably won't, as much as everyone would love to get perfect scores.
Yeah.
You can try your best, but LSAT is hard, and so is school. So you be kind to yourself when you don't have a perfect GPA or perfect LSAT score. Exactly. I think the most important thing is to just do your best, because no matter what, there's going to be options for you. With the LSAT score you have, the GPA you have, there are going to be some schools out there for you, as long as you do, your best that you can.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Taly, for joining us and for giving us some awesome advice. And also, I would love for people who are either thinking about law school, and not just young kids, I mean, second career people too, I think have such an opportunity to learn from you as well. So I'd love you to throw up your @ sign or your @ handle so that people know where to follow you, if you'll let us know.
So my my Instagram is @Taly Goody ESQ, and that's TALYGOODYESQ. And it's the same for my TikTok. And I also have a firm Instagram, which is @Goody Law Group.
Perfect. And we'll put those up, and we're excited to talk to you again today.
Thank you so much.
And everyone, please check out Taly's TikToks and Instagram. They're really, really informative and fun and good. And she's got great fashion as well. So I'm going to throw that out there as well.
Thanks, Reggie. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And thanks for watching Lawyer Interviews.